faithfully convey value interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Club. Today I'm going to interpret for you the book Loyalty to the Country, a new biography of Yue Fei by historian Wang Zhenyu, covering both parts 1 and 2. We covered Yue Fei's life and family background, how he rose from a farmer to become a great general against the Jin, and how the Yue army was formed. We'll continue with the story of the Yue army, Yue Fei's 4 northern expeditions, and the unjust case against him. Let's take a look at the organization of the Yue army's 100,000-strong force. Yue army was organized into units like Jun Army, Jiang Division, and Budui Battalion. At the Jun level, there were 12 armies: Beiwei, forward, right, center, left, rear, Yui, Tabai, Swanfeng, Shenji, Podi, and the Naval Army.
The Baiwei Army was Yue Fei's elite direct unit, modeled after Han Shizhan's approach, formed by selecting the bravest warriors.
Yu Yang served in the Baiwei Army. The Naval Army was established after suppressing Yang Yao, using over 1,000 captured warships and experienced sailors, making it the Song military's best equipped and largest naval force. First, Yue Fei commanded 22 Tongzi commanders, 5 Tongling deputies, and 252 officers. Wang Gui led the Center Army as commissioner, while Zhang Xin commanded the Forward Army as assistant commissioner. They became Yue Fei's right-hand men, managing army affairs and commanding other units in his absence. Additionally, Shu Qing, Niu, Dao, and Dom Xin were renowned for their bravery. These 5 were the backbone among the Yue army's commanders. Yue Fei also maintained an efficient staff organization for strategy planning and document drafting. Shui Bi served as chief of staff, the highest-ranking aide. Advisor Li Rushu dedicated his life to supporting Yue Fei's campaigns, notably defying Emperor Gaozong's order during the 4th Northern Expedition to ensure military progress. Though a young tiger general, Yu Yun also held a staff position per tradition. So, how exactly did the Yue army develop the formidable combat strength that terrified Jin forces? First, Yue Fei prioritized patriotic education for his troops. The Battle of Jiankang. Prior to this, Emperor Gaozong had sailed away with his whereabouts unknown. Despite Yue Fei's consecutive victories, demoralizing news caused wavering morale. With bleak prospects and food shortages, some soldiers began deserting. Yue Fei gathered all the soldiers and passionately spoke, inspiring them with loyalty and patriotism. The troops were deeply moved, and no one deserted anymore. When Duchan's former troops came to discuss surrendering to the Jin, Yue Fei moved them with his exceptional martial skills and sincere words, leading them to repent. And from then on, their commitment to resist the Jin became a key source of the Yue army's cohesion. And second, the Yue army had the best soldier quality and training. The Yue army originated from 2,000 soldiers Yue Fei led under Zhongzhe's command for the second time. They were meticulously trained by Zhongzhe. The elite troops from Heibai had excellent military discipline and strong tactical discipline. Yue Fei emphasized the strictest combat training for his soldiers. He himself excelled at shooting arrows with both hands and taught his warriors to do the same, mastering archery skills. In daily training, all soldiers wore heavy armor and practiced combat moves like charging steep slopes and jumping trenches. They were agile and could fight like 1 against 10. Third, the Yue army's equipment and setup were also top-notch. While the Jin's heavy cavalry seemed invincible, the Yue army relied on captured gear and their own development. The cavalry of the Yue army saw great improvements in both quantity and quality. In the famous Battle of Yancheng, the Yue army's cavalry faced off against the Jin's proud cavalry on the open plains. This was the first large-scale cavalry battle in the Song-Jin Wars. Moreover, thanks to the Song Dynasty's advanced craftsmanship, the Yue army's crossbows had longer range, stronger penetration, and greater lethality against the Jin forces. Fourth, the Yue army had strict discipline. and Yue Fei used iron fist methods to uphold the army's order and reputation. Yue Fei's own uncle, Yao, made a mistake, and to maintain discipline, Yue Fei executed him. After years of strict discipline, the Yue army became known as never tearing down houses when freezing, never looting when starving, meaning they wouldn't plunder civilians or kill prisoners even in hardship, winning public support. Finally, although Yue Fei ruled the army strictly, he prioritized benevolence and led by example. On one hand, Yue Fei governed the army with benevolence first, embodying the Confucian ideals of compassion and care for all towards his subordinates, civilians, and even surrendered enemies. As mentioned earlier, besides the 20,000 troops assigned by the court, most of the other soldiers were enemies recruited by Yue Fei during suppression of rebellions and wars against the Jin. But Yue Fei treated surrendered troops equally, whether bandits or puppet soldiers, seeing them as his own kin, without discrimination or harsh treatment, always trying to win them over. Thus, Grandfather Yu's reputation spread far and wide, and thousands of surrendered troops eagerly came to join him. On the other hand, Yue Fei governed the army by setting personal examples, balancing kindness with authority. Despite severe material shortages, Yue Fei paid special attention to caring for his soldiers. He often dined with the lowest-ranking soldiers, ensuring wine and meat were equally shared. If wine was scarce, he'd dilute it with water so all could drink. During marches, if soldiers camped outdoors, he refused proper lodgings. When stationed or campaigning, he sent his wife Li Hua to visit families, offering warmth and financial aid. In battle, Yue Fei often led from the front, braving arrows and stones. He personally visited the wounded, even preparing medicines. For the fallen, he mourned deeply and cared for their orphans and widows. In ancient China, poor military discipline was commonplace. By contrast, the Yue army's strict discipline was an exceptionally rare and precious exception, inseparable from Yue Fei's ideals, character, and efforts. Even Yue Fei himself took pride in his army, once saying, "My soldiers are the true elite." Earlier, we mentioned Yue Fei volunteered to suppress Yang Yao, partly to secure a safe rear for his northern expeditions. This was because the puppet Qi regime's invasion plans heavily relied on allying with Yang Yao. The so-called puppet Qi regime was a Jin-installed puppet state in the north. In September of the fourth year, the Jin installed Lu Yu, former Song prefect of Jinan, as emperor of the Qi state with its capital at Kaifeng. After its establishment, the Qi regime took over 3 battlefronts, freeing Jin troops to suppress resistance forces and focus on attacking Shanxi. Early in the third year, Song forces in Shangyang attacked the Qi regime, threatening Kaifeng. Liu Yu's situation became precarious, and he desperately sought Jin reinforcements. In March, Wu Zhu led Jin troops to join Li Cheng's 20,000 Qi soldiers battling Song forces northwest of Kaifeng. The Song army, lacking cavalry, was crushed by Jin's heavy armor. They never recovered, losing vast territories including Xiangyang. Lu Yu also sent envoys to Yang Yao at Dongting Lake, plotting a joint attack to destroy the Southern Song. The puppet Qi's military victories posed another major crisis for the Song after the Battle of Jiankang. After careful analysis, Yue Fei believed striking first before the fourth-year wheat harvest could crush Li Cheng's army and thwart the Qiang pincer attack. Yue Fei repeatedly submitted memorials for this. The Song court believed that militarily, they must first strike Li Cheng before suppressing Yang Yao. After repeated debates, Emperor Gaozong and his ministers decided to have Yue Fei lead troops to Shanghan to reclaim the 6 prefectures occupied by the puppet Qi. On March 13th of the third year of Shaoxing, the court ordered Yue Fei to recapture the 6 prefectures before the wheat harvest. Thus began Yue Fei's first northern expedition. With about 35,000 troops, not numerically superior, the Yu army's exceptional quality and Yue Fei's brilliant strategy secured victory. After swiftly capturing Yingzhou, Zhang Xian and Xu Qing led forces northeast to attack Suiziao. Yue Fei personally commanded the main force northwest toward Xianyang Prefecture. Xianyang served as the puppet Qi's southern invasion headquarters, personally defended by Commander Li Chang. Facing the Yue army's lightning assault, Li Chang fled in panic. By March 17th, just 4 days later, Yue Fei reclaimed Xianyang without bloodshed. In June, reinforced by Jin troops, Li Chen prepared for a decisive battle against the Yue army. Learning of the Jinqi mobilization, a terrified Emperor Gaozong ordered Yue Fei to retreat, a order Yue Fei ignored. He prepared thoroughly for the showdown. On July 15th, Lan Gri and Zhang Xin shattered tens of thousands of Jinqi troops, crushing their offensive and securing the First Northern Expedition's victory. The Xianghan campaign marked the Southern Song's first major territory recovery and its first significant counteroffensive in 8 years. Afterward, Yue Fei meticulously strengthened Xianghan's defenses. Through resettlement, farming, and fortification, he transformed the 6 prefectures into a solid frontier stronghold. Strategically positioned near Sichuan, Shanxi, Huai regions, and the Yangtze, Xianyang naturally became the primary base for Song counteroffensives. After Shaoxing III, Yue Fei commanded this region, fulfilling his dream of leading major forces free from pacifist constraints. After securing defenses, Yue Fei returned to garrison as Zhou, modern Wuhan, establishing it as the Yue Army's permanent headquarters. Post-victory, the court promoted Yue Fei from 4th rank Zennan Army Commissioner to 2nd rank Qinyuan Army Governor, honoring Chancellor Zhu Shengfei's promise. At just 32, Yue Fei rose from a lowly soldier to become a governor through military merits unprecedented at the time. However, Yue Fei's brilliant achievements also sparked jealousy from Han Shizong and his former superior Zhang Jun. Yet, Yue Fei didn't become complacent. One day later, he climbed high and gazed afar, passionately composing the timeless Manjinghong. Wrath sets my hair bristling. As rain ceases by the railing, I look skyward and roar, my heart ablaze with fervor. 30 years of fame like dust, 8,000 miles of clouds and moon. Don't idle away your youth, only to grieve in vain. The Jimkong's shame remains unavenged. When will this subject's hatred end? Driving chariots to crush the Helen Mountains! Warriors feast on barbarian flesh, laughing as they quench thirst with Xianu blood, until we reclaim our lost rivers and mountains. And present victory at the Imperial Palace. This poem, impassioned and majestic, truly embodies heroic grandeur. After the first northern expedition, Yue Fei focused on securing his rear by suppressing Yang Yao's rebellion. In Shaoxing V, tasked with quelling Yang Yao, Yue Fei resolved the rebellion in just 2.5 months, eliminating a long-standing threat to the Song. Pacifying Dongting Lake finally gave the Yue army a stable rear for subsequent campaigns against the Jin. During this time, Yue Fei planned to continue northern expeditions but was delayed by 2 events. First, Yue Fei contracted a severe eye disease that made him sensitive to light. Second, his mother passed away in Shaoxing VI. After the funeral, Yue Fei decided to observe the 3-year mourning period at Lushan's famed Donglin Temple. With urgent warfront situations, the court ordered Yue Fei to shorten his mourning, but he refused, even ignoring Emperor Gaozong's personal edict. Finally, the court issued a stern ultimatum. If Yue Fei didn't return, his subordinates would be punished. Reluctantly, Yue Fei returned with a wooden effigy of his mother, maintaining daily rituals to honor her. Now, let's discuss Yue Fei's 2nd and 3rd northern expeditions. Though smaller than the 1st and 4th, they achieved glorious results with equal strategic significance. Between July and August of Shaoxing VI, the Yue army launched its 2nd northern expedition. This expedition marked the Southern Song's first full-scale, honorable counteroffensive since its founding. During it, the Yue army seized a Qi horse depot, capturing over 10,000 steeds, greatly strengthening their cavalry troops. Unlike the proactive first two expeditions, the third was reactive, smaller in scale and momentum. This is primarily because the puppet Qi regime suffered setbacks at Yue Fei's hands. They then sought opportunities through the Lianghuai region. In haste, Emperor Gaozong dispatched the Yue army east to aid Huaishi, and the Song forces repelled the puppet Qi's attack. The Yue army's movement gave the puppet Qi an opportunity, prompting them to attack the Xianghan 6 prefectures under Yue Fei's defense. The Yue army counterattacked immediately. Yue Fei received Gaozong's order to halt eastward advance and return to Ezhou, but instead led his troops in a proactive strike. The puppet Qi's third northern expedition achieved little, but the Yue army's forward units, after withstanding a surprise attack by Jin and Qi forces, quickly turned defense into counter-offense, showcasing this lion's combat prowess. Meanwhile, Yue Fei changed his strategy, shifting the main battlefield from mountainous areas to flat plains. Yue Fei dispatched numerous elite forces deep into Jinqi-controlled rear areas to implement Zhongzai's legacy strategy of connecting with Hebei rebels, further strengthening alliances with anti-Jin resistance behind enemy lines, hoping they would not only harass the enemy in the rear, but also serve as cavalry when Yue Fei's main force launched northern expeditions. At the time, the Taihang rebels with direct ties to Yue Fei were most active. Some northern insurgents without direct contact also fought the Jin under the Yue army banner. In short, an unprecedented surge of anti-Jin rebels emerged north of the Yellow River, awaiting the Great Song-Jin Showdown and Yue Fei's fourth northern expedition. However, this expedition was interrupted by Gaozong and Qin Hui during the Jianyan phase of the Song-Jin War. Liu Yu also sent envoys to Yangyao at Dongting Lake, plotting a joint uprising to destroy the Southern Song regime. The puppet Qi regime's military victories posed another major crisis for the Song after the Battle of Jiangkam. After careful analysis, Yue Fei believed that striking first before the Shaoxing IV wheat harvest to crush Li Cheng's army would thwart the puppet Qi and Yang Yao's pincer attack plan. Yue Fei repeatedly submitted memorials for this. The Song court believed that militarily they must first strike Li Cheng before suppressing Yang Yao. After repeated debates, Emperor Gaozong and his ministers decided to have Yue Fei lead troops to Xianghan to reclaim the 6 prefectures occupied by the puppet Qi. On March 13th of the third year of Shaoxing, the court ordered Yue Fei to recapture the 6 prefectures before the wheat harvest. Thus began Yue Fei's first northern expedition. At that time, the Yu army had about 35,000 troops, not numerically superior, but their exceptional quality and Yue Fei's brilliant strategy secured victory in this campaign.
After swiftly capturing Yingzhou, Zhang Shan and Shu Qing led troops northeast to attack Suizhou.
Yue Fei personally commanded the main force northwest toward Xianyang Prefecture. Shenyang served as the puppet Qi's southern invasion headquarters, personally defended by Commander Li Cheng. Facing the Yue army's lightning assault, Li Cheng fled in panic. By March 17th, just 4 days later, Yue Fei reclaimed Xianyang without bloodshed. In June, reinforced by Jin troops, Li Cheng prepared for a decisive battle against the Yue army. Learning of the Jinji mobilization, a terrified Emperor Gaozong ordered Yue Fei to retreat, a order Yue Fei ignored. He prepared thoroughly for the showdown. On July 15th, Wang Li and Zhang Shi shattered tens of thousands of Jinji troops, crushing their offensive and securing the first northern expedition's victory. 5. The Xianghan campaign marked the Southern Song's first major territory recovery and its first significant counteroffensive in 8 years. Afterward, Yue Fei meticulously strengthened Shanghan's defenses. Through resettlement, farming, and fortification, he transformed the six prefectures into a solid frontier stronghold. Strategically positioned near Sichuan, Shanxi, Huai regions, and the Yangtze, Shanyang naturally became the primary base for Song counteroffensives. After Shaoxing III, Yue Fei commanded this region, fulfilling his dream of leading major forces free from pacifist constraints. Wah! After securing defenses, Yue Fei returned to garrison Ezhou, modern Wuhan, establishing it as the Yue Army's permanent headquarters. Post-victory, the court promoted Yue Fei from 4th rank, Zhennan Army Commissioner, to 2nd rank, Qingwan Army Governor, honoring Chancellor Zhu Shangfei's promise. At just 32, Yue Fei rose from a lowly soldier to become a governor through military merits, unprecedented at the time. However, Yue Fei's brilliant achievements also sparked jealousy from Han Shizhong and his former superior Zhang Zheng. Yet, Yue Fei didn't become complacent. One day, Yue Fei climbed high and gazed afar, passionately composing the timeless Manjiang Hong. Wrath sets my hair bristling, as rain ceases by the railing. I look skyward and roar, my heart ablaze with fervor. 30 years of fame like dust, 8,000 miles of clouds and moon. Don't idle away your youth, only to grieve in vain. The Jingkong's shame remains unavenged. When will this subject's hatred end?
Driving chariots to crush the Helen Mountains! Warriors feast on barbarian flesh, laughing as they quench thirst with Xianu blood, until we reclaim our lost rivers and mountains.
And present victory at the Imperial Palace. This poem, impassioned and majestic, truly embodies heroic grandeur. After the first northern expedition, Yue Fei focused on securing his rear by suppressing Yang Yao's rebellion. In Shaoxing V, tasked with quelling Yang Yao, Yue Fei resolved the rebellion in just 2.5 months, eliminating a long-standing threat to the Song. Pacifying Dongting Lake finally gave the Yue army a stable rear for subsequent campaigns against the Jin. During this time, Yue Fei planned to continue northern expeditions, but was delayed by 2 events. First, Yue Fei contracted a severe eye disease that made him sensitive to light. Second, his mother passed away in Shaoxing VI. After the funeral, Yue Fei decided to observe the 3-year mourning period at Lushan's famed Donglin Temple. With urgent warfront situations, the court ordered Yue Fei to shorten his mourning, but he refused, even ignoring Emperor Gaozong's personal edict. Finally, the court issued a stern ultimatum. If Yue Fei didn't return, his subordinates would be punished. Reluctantly, Yue Fei returned with a wooden effigy of his mother, maintaining daily rituals to honor her. Now, let's discuss Yue Fei's 2nd and 3rd northern expeditions. Though smaller than the 1st and 4th, they achieved glorious results with equal strategic significance. Between July and August of Shaoxing VI, the Yue army launched its 2nd northern expedition. This expedition marked the Southern Song's first full-scale honorable counteroffensive since its founding. During it, the Yue army seized a Qi horse depot, capturing over 10,000 steeds, greatly strengthening their cavalry. Troops. Unlike the proactive first 2 expeditions, the 3rd was reactive, smaller in scale and momentum. This is primarily because the puppet Qi regime suffered setbacks at Yue Fei's hands. They then sought opportunities through the Lianhuai region. In haste, Emperor Gaozong dispatched the Yue army east to aid Huaixi, and the Song forces repelled the puppet Qi's attack. The Yue army's movement gave the puppet Qi an opportunity, prompting them to attack the Shanghan 6 prefectures under Yue Fei's defense. The Yue army counterattacked immediately. Yue Fei received Gaozong's order to halt eastward advance and return to Ezhou, but instead led his troops in a proactive strike. The puppet Qi's 3rd northern expedition achieved little, but the Yue army's forward units, after withstanding a surprise attack by Jin and Qi forces, quickly turned defense into counteroffense, showcasing this lion's combat prowess. Meanwhile, Yue Fei altered his tactics, moving the primary battlefield from mountainous terrain to open plains. Yue Fei deployed elite units deep behind Jin Qi lines to implement Zanzi's connect with Hebei strategy, expanding alliances with resistance forces in enemy territory. He envisioned them not only disrupting enemy supply lines, but also serving as auxiliary cavalry during major northern campaigns. The Taihing Mountain rebels, directly linked to Yue Fei, became especially active, while other northern insurgents fought under the Yue army banner without formal ties. Thus, unprecedented anti-Jin resistance flourished north of the Yellow River, awaiting the Great Song-Jin confrontation and Yue Fei's fourth expedition, which Gaozong and Qin Hui sabotaged during the Jianyan War phase. In October of Shaoshang 11, he was imprisoned, executed alongside Yue Yun and Zhang Xin on December 29th at age 39. Yue Fei's wrongful execution remains history's great injustice. A decorated general killed on false charges, with popular lore blaming Qin Hui exclusively. But Long Zhangyu argues Emperor Gaozong was the true architect of this injustice, with Qinhua as chief accomplice. Why was Gaozong determined to kill Yue Fei? By Emperor Taiyuzu's decree forbidding minister executions, Yue Fei, as Grand Marshal and later Vice-Chancellor, should have been protected. Why did Gaozong violate ancestral law to execute Yue Fei? Was it impulsive or calculated?
First, let's examine Yue Fei and Gaozong's deteriorating relationship.
Initially, Gaozong and Yue Fei enjoyed good relations. After the Battle of Jiankang, Gaozong first summoned Yue Fei, admiring the older general despite their age difference. Shaoxing era. In September of the third year, Yue Fei journeyed to Linnan for his second imperial audience, accompanied by 15-year-old Yue Yun. To court loyalty, Gaozong personally inscribed Jingzhang Yue Fei, absolute loyalty, on a battle flag, commanding its use in all campaigns.
But two events fundamentally shattered their relationship.
First, Gaozong betrayed his promises.
In February of Xiaolong 7, Gaozong summoned Yue Fei, alone, in Jiankang.
He declared, for dynastic restoration, all forces except Zhang Jun and Han Shizang's, occupied against the puppet Qi, shall be under Yue Fei's command. So-called command here means temporary or indirect leadership. Per Gaozong's order, Yue Fei commanded about 160,000 to 170,000 troops, plus his own 100,000-strong Yue army, totaling 5/7 of the nation's military forces. Why was Gaozong so generous? Why entrust Yue Fei with the majority of the nation's troops? There were two reasons. First, since Shaoxing's first year, although Gaozong never abandoned his desire to surrender to the Jin, the puppet Qi regime, backed by the Jin, blocked his path to peace. Liu Yu was hell-bent on destroying the Song, so Gaozong sometimes had to superficially support resisting the Jin. Second, as mentioned earlier, Liu Yu of the puppet Qi believed that without destroying the Song, his throne as a puppet emperor would be unstable. Therefore, besides military offensives, Liu Yu also racked his brains to dig up Gaozong's personal scandals, launching personal attacks against him. Under Liu Yu's attacks, Gaozong impulsively decided to heavily rely on Yue Fei, but soon regretted it and withdrew his command over the majority of troops. This was partly due to opposition from Right Chancellor Zhang Jun, and partly due to sabotage by Qin Hui, then serving as chief counselor. Zhang Jun had always thought very highly of himself. In his eyes, only he was truly qualified to command the entire nation's forces. Yue Fei was unworthy. As for Qin Hui, being a spy, sabotaging the resistance was simply his duty. Zhang Jun and Qin Hui warned Gaozong not to forget ancestral teachings. Granting Yue Fei excessive military power risked overshadowing the emperor, a regret too late to mend. Yue Fei, infuriated by Gaozong and his ministers flip-flopping in a fit of rage,
without Gaozong's approval, submitted a resignation request and headed straight to Donglin Temple on Mount Lu to observe mourning for his late mother.
This near-scandalous act of defiance reflected Yue Fei's stubborn character. On the other hand, it also shows Yue Fei wasn't the blindly loyal servant to the throne as later generations described. And when Zhang Zhang learned of Yue Fei's unauthorized leave, he too was livid.
He repeatedly petitioned Gaozong, accusing Yue Fei of arrogance and military monopoly, urging his dismissal. But Gaozong was clearer-headed than Zhang Jun. It was but one day on leave.
Weighing the pros and cons, Baozong had to keep Yue Fei in command to protect his throne. He rejected Zhang Jun's plan to strip Yue Fei's command and declined Yue Fei's resignation. Instead, he sent Long Li and others to Mount Lu to urge Yue Fei's return. Prioritizing the anti-Jin cause, Yue Fei accepted the emperor's order. But per Gaozong's demand, before reinstatement, Yue Fei had to apologize to the emperor. Emperor Gaozong replied, "What Taizu called the crime of defying the supreme authority can only be committed by the base." This statement was both a warning and veiled threat. Months earlier, Yue Fei was Gaozong's most admired general. Now he became the emperor's most distrusted military man. What shattered Gaozong and Yue Fei's relationship was the crown prince succession incident. During the Jianyan III exodus, Gaozong suffered trauma that left him infertile, forcing him to select Taiyi's seventh-generation descendant. Zhao Bokan was renamed Zhao Xin, later Emperor Shaozong, and raised in the palace. But since Gaozong was only 30, he desperately sought medical help for an heir, refusing to confirm Zhao Xin's status. Succession shouldn't have concerned Yue Fei, but intelligence revealed the Jin planned to depose Liu Yu and install Emperor Qinzong's son as puppet, creating rival Song regimes. Yue Fei believed confirming Zhao Xin's status promptly would thwart this conspiracy. Now, thus he secretly petitioned the emperor about succession. Gaozong, obsessed with producing an heir, deeply resented Yue Fei's interference. When Yue Fei once praised Zhao Shen's brilliance in court, calling him foundation of restoration, it seemed Yue Fei aimed to be a regent for a young ruler. Gaozong then warned him, "Though loyal, you command heavy troops. These matters aren't your concern." The secret petition not only failed, but deepened Gaozong's hatred, planting seeds for Yue Fei's murder. Partly because Song ancestral rules bred extreme distrust of powerful generals. With Song-Jin war raging, Gaozong tolerated military autonomy temporarily, until the Jin weakened. When southern invasions ceased, Gaozong eagerly stripped Yue Fei and Han Shizhong of command. Moreover, Yue Fei's unwavering anti-Jin stance and incorruptibility and immense popularity meant even disarmed, Gaozong feared neither he nor his heirs could control him. Thus Gaozong resolved to kill Yue Fei, but executing a meritorious general without cause would spark outrage. So he had Qin Hui dispatch his confidant Mo Qixi to frame Yue Fei with 3 treason accusations. 1. Inciting Zheng Xin to rebel. 2. Slandering Gaozong's virtue. Yue Fei's boast. "At 32 I became governor," rare in history, like Taozu who became governor at 30. Thus, Yue Fei's statement was deemed lèse-majesté, all 3 charges being baseless slanders. When Han Shizhong questioned Qin Hui, he replied, "Though unclear about Yue Yun's letter and Zhang Xin's rebellion, this matter is Moxu Yu, meaning it probably exists." Yeah, since then, Moxu Yu became synonymous with wrongful convictions. After Yue Fei's imprisonment, Qin Hui and Ma Qi had the Justice Ministry recommend Yue Fei and Zhang Xin's execution with Yue Yun exiled, but Gaozong demanded Yue Fei's death instead. Zhang Shan and Yue Yun were beheaded. Thus, in Yue Fei's wrongful case, Gaozong was the chief culprit. As for claims that Yue Fei's insistence on retrieving emperors Huazong and Qinzong caused his death, this is incorrect, because that political slogan was originally proposed by Gaozong himself. After Huizong's death in Shawang 7, Gaozong stopped mentioning it. Yue Fei followed suit. Later accusations against Qin Hui overlook that Jin's peace terms required Yue Fei's death. As a surrender advocate who resented Yue Fei, Gaozong naturally colluded with the spy. Qin Hui to violate Taizu's decree and create this historical injustice. Finally, let's summarize and evaluate this book. Wang Zhenyu's Loyalty to the Nation. A new biography of Yue Fei is a meticulously researched biography based on reliable history. Using rich historical sources, it clarifies many inaccuracies about Yue Fei, showing us a composed, courageous warrior's struggle against Gaozong and Qin Hui. Despite enduring brutal torture in prison, Yue Fei remained unyielding, never begging for mercy. He hunger-struck but never confessed, fully demonstrating his integrity. After Yue Fei's death, Gaozong and Qin Hui tried to erase his achievements and slander him, but time proved Yue Fei's Qingbrui, making him a deserving hero. Long Zhenyu's Loyalty to the Nation concludes our interpretation of Yue Fei's biography. Reading notes are below the audio. Until next time.